My name is Ngug'i. I work with Kenya Wildlife Service in the Corporate Communications Office as the manager in charge of communication. The drive for conservation and why we do what we do, I doubt I would be able to put it or to compress it in the time that we have for this interview. Suffice to say that it goes way back, almost to creation, as it were. And when we realize that these are creatures that God has created. And in fact, in the good book, God in his wisdom created the animals first. Then he created us. And we were commanded, it's actually a command. We were commanded to name and look after these animals that God had created. So if you ask me, conservation goes way back to creation. Between mid-70s and almost to the mid of 80s, a period of about 10 years, we saw a serious decline. For instance, if you just look at the elephants, we saw a decline from 120,000 elephants that we used to have to a number which is probably less than 10,000 in a span of 10 years. So we were looking at a real extinction of the elephant species. And that is why there was a big outcry globally that more efforts needed to be put in terms of conserving this particular species. Elephant was not alone. Even the rhinos, we saw a huge drop in the rhino population. This was driven largely from what I can call it a hangover from the hunting days, where there were 5 species that were picked out as the most difficult to hunt, and this is what the hunters who came to hunt here in Kenya wanted to go back with as trophies. They wanted the tusks from the elephant, they wanted the horn from the rhino, and of course they wanted the leopard skin, they wanted the lion skin, and of course the buffalo head as trophies. We need to conserve because we need this wildlife. Much as we need one another in relationships, we need food for our sustenance, we also need these animals because they provide something that we cannot get from the trees, we cannot get from one another. Even their own beauty. In themselves, they are beautiful to observe, they are beautiful to hold, and like I said earlier on, they are creatures and creations of God. And therefore, they also have a right to exist. They do. And then when you look at it from an economic point of view, we still have in Kenya what the rest of the world has lost. We have animals in fairly good numbers, a lot of them, except the ones I had mentioned earlier in the first question, that which are endangered, critically endangered, the rhino and the elephant. But the other ones, we still have a large assemblage of large mammals still roaming wild. In many places, especially in the northern hemisphere, in Europe, America, most of these animals are in zoos. They're in cages. And it hurts me when I've had the pleasure, or at least the rare opportunity to go and see them. And I actually saw myself, I'll never, ever go to a zoo again. Because you see these animals, I felt like I would even break those doors and come back with them to Kenya. Because these animals, they are stressed. They are animals which should be roaming in the wild. Now we don't want to get to that situation where there are so few that the few that are left, you now need to keep them in confined cages where they are suffering stress. I'd like to believe with the work that we've done as Kenya Wildlife Service in terms of even reaching out to even children, the young, and trying to convert them to be future conservationists, I think the future is bright. Bright in the sense that we have a lot of strategies that we have in place for individual species. We have a strategy of how to conserve and how to propagate, or rather to see numbers increase of the rhinos, of the elephants. And apart from just now the over 57 national parks and reserves that we have also engaged communities and individuals who have large tracts of land and trying to encourage them to leave that space for wildlife. And a lot of work has been done, and it is clear in certain areas that per acre you earn more from wildlife than you would from planting any other crop. As a parting shot, my message is really very simple. These animals have a right to exist. These animals serve in terms of what I would probably want to call an environmental benefit that they give us in terms of just even seeing the beauty of these animals, seeing them in their natural spaces, seeing them behaving that the way they behave. I think it's beautiful. And I would say, because we want to be conserving this wildlife as KWS until Jesus Christ comes back, so that our future generation, for posterity, because they are beautiful, they have a life to live, they have a right to live, and we benefit a lot from wildlife.